Hey, good morning, everyone. We just clicked start on the webinar, and we're going to allow people to file in here. So we'll give everybody about 15, 20 seconds to officially enter the webinar, and then we'll get started. We're super excited everybody's joined us this Thursday morning. And we are super excited to cover the new Alibi Vigilant line of cameras and recorders. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. All right, looks like we've got a good chunk of people who have entered the webinar, and we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm Chris Miller, I'm the Director of Marketing, and we appreciate everybody joining us this morning for a brief live webinar. We're excited to jump back into this live webinar series, and more importantly, to cover off our Alibi Vigilant line of cameras and recorders. Today's webinar is probably going to be a little bit shorter than some of our webinars. As we've launched this new line of cameras and recorders, one of the things that our dealer partners have asked us for is just kind of a brief overview on how do you set up and manage the system. A lot of times when you introduce a new line of products, there's a lot of questions about usability, user interface, how easy is it? Is it comparable to maybe our other line or Alibi Witness line? Well, today we're going to go through with our one of our product managers, Patrick Liggett, and go through setup and management of our Alibi Vigilant line. And before we dive into the webinar, just want to make sure everybody knows who Alibi Security is. We've been around for 30 plus years. We've been embedded in the video security market and primarily serving dealer partners through video, as well as offering access control. And as of late, we've introduced a couple of key solutions that are cloud-based as well. So our goal is to make sure that we're staying on the forefront of technology to support you, our dealer partners, to help you guys and gals grow your business. We really do that and differentiate ourselves through the resources we dedicate to support you. Our sales support, we've got dedicated account managers, average tenures in our sales department, 7 to 8 years. So we've got a very senior staff to help answer any questions you guys as you're designing solutions for your customers. We've also got US-based technical support. That's something that we always like to reemphasize for those who don't know a lot about Alibi, is that we've got US-based technical support, and we really strive to hold our hold times under 90 seconds. So that means that when you're up on a ladder in an install site and you call, you're going to get an answer and you're going to get somebody on the phone promptly so you can resolve your issues quickly. In addition to that, we've got turnkey digital marketing and business enablement services. Really, those are things to help you guys grow and really establish and optimize your online presence. So if you guys don't like marketing, if you're marketing challenged, if you want a partner to help you with marketing, call your dedicated account manager and ask them about our Alibi Arsenal services. And then finally, as I mentioned before, one of the things that our team is always looking to do and to provide you guys with additional opportunities are kind of the next level or the next generation of video solutions. That's why we've got Alibi Cloud VS as well as Alibi System Health Monitoring that we offer to you guys now. So our goal is obviously to support you guys, provide a robust set of solutions to help you guys grow your business. So before we dive in and introduce our presenter, just know that as we're going through this, if you have Q&A, please use the Q&A feature down at the bottom of the screen. Put your question in there. We'll make sure we either address that live, because Patrick will be going through a lot of good information. So there's a good chance he'll address your questions as we're rolling through the webinar today. At the end, if there are still unanswered questions, I'll help moderate and make sure we get those questions answered. And if we run out of time, we'll make sure that we follow up with you guys directly. And then, we're always looking for suggestions and ideas on what future webinar topics we should cover. So if you have any ideas or any suggestions, we'd love to get those, and you can put those either in the Q&A or in the chat as well. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to roll through the Alibi Vigilant line of cameras and recorders and really talk about the basics. How to set up and manage, right? And before we do that, I'll give you a quick overview of the line. And then I'm going to hand it off to Patrick Liggett at that point in time. And the next part of the webinar is going to be very demo heavy. He's going to dive into the user interface, show you guys how to install Alibi Vigilant, how to use the mobile app. The mobile app is super powerful. And then also he's going to dive in and touch on the web application as well. And then after that, we'll have some Q&A so we can answer any questions that we didn't cover initially. So, we're really excited to have Patrick Liggett here. Patrick's been in the security industry for quite a while. He did start off with us in technical support, so he's well versed in the technical side of our product and understands what our dealer partners need and want in order to be able to do their job on a daily basis. And right now he is overseeing all of and developing with our manufacturing partners all of our recording devices. And that's just not the hardware. As everyone knows, when you talk about recording devices, there's a ton of software involved in that. So Patrick's very involved in helping develop and refine our user interface to make sure that these products are super easy to use. And with the Alibi Vigilant line of cameras, I think it's important that everybody realize the versatility of this line. We came out with a new line to give you guys some alternative options when you're out there selling in the marketplace. And the job that our product management team has done to go out and identify a set of cameras and recorders that perform really, really well, and also have some of the latest features in the video surveillance industry is just outstanding. You look at the lineup, and the camera line goes from 2 meg up to 4K. So, depending on the resolution needs, we can deliver. We've got the latest chipsets and optics. So if you guys need low light applications, the Starlight chipsets in these products are phenomenal, just phenomenal. And then also the channel count scales all the way up to 128. So you can really get up to that kind of enterprise level solution set for your customers if needed. And then, as you add on channel count, we've also got Ultra H265 compression technology that enables you to help your customers save on storage space too. And then there's a lot of other features. I think one of the cool things that you guys will see today is just the interface on this new line of products is really, really simple and easy to use. And it really makes this line really a dream from a setup and install perspective. And as I mentioned, with the enhanced optics, there's some of the latest chipsets. When you compare the resolution and the clarity of these products against our current other line witness, you'll see that they stand up really well, and in some cases are even better than those. And you compare those out in the marketplace, and you'll find that you'll be really, really impressed. Some of the other cool things about the Alibi Vigilant line, and I'm sure Patrick will add on a lot more color than the marketing guy will, is updating the firmware on these products is super duper easy, right? It's all cloud-based, so you don't have to go out there with a USB stick and take firmware and upload it on the recorder. There are buttons in the UI interface that alert you when there's a cloud update available, and then you can just simply click the button and you can update cameras or recorders. So that's super powerful, and it makes your job a lot easier when you're out in the field. And the other thing that we found with Alibi Vigilant line is when you plug in other cameras that are non-vigilant cameras into these recorders, the software does a great job of recognizing those. I don't know, and Patrick will go into this in more detail. I don't know, we found a camera that doesn't work on the Vigilant recorders. So there's a lot of plug and play capabilities with these recorders that we didn't have before. And also with these cameras and recorders, even our flex line, because we've got the line broken up into 2 different lines, the flex line, which is more of our value-oriented line, still has powerful analytics built in there. That's one of the things that our product managers looked at when they were looking at bringing on a new line is, how do we take some of these features and, more importantly, the analytics that our dealer partners are asking for, like human detection, and build that in across the line, whether it's a value line like the flex line, or whether it's our performance line. And then finally, I would say at this point, 80 to 85% of our line right now on Alibi Vigilant is NDAA compliant. As that becomes a bigger issue for you and your customers, just know that we're working really hard to make this line fully NDAA compliant. So make sure you understand, what Part 1 compliance means, and this line really delivers on that. So with that as kind of a good overview of where we are as a company and what we want to talk about with this Alibi Vigilant line, I want to hand it over to Patrick Liggett, who's our product manager for this line, and he can get into a lot more detail and give you guys a lot more technical information. And then more importantly, we're going to spend a lot of time really in the UI so you guys see how easy it is to use. So Patrick, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Chris. So yeah, as we mentioned, the many benefits that we are excited about with the Vigilant line, and many you kind of already touched on, the ease of use and the user interface, very intuitive. It's, very user friendly. Firmware upgrades, like you mentioned, all cloud-based through the peer-to-peer connection. So whether you're upgrading a recorder or even an IP camera that's added to that recorder, it could all be done remotely through the app or through the web browser. Remotely, no longer have to go on site with a USB flash drive that you get downloaded the firmware from our website. So the cloud firmware updating is very beneficial. And the plug and play capability as well, like Chris mentioned, we found that it works just plain and simple. It plug and plays with, say if you're used to our witness line and you want to say replace a recorder on site, but you don't want to have to rip out all the cameras, you can leave those cameras there. And as long as you maybe factory default them, then they will easily plug and play with a Vigilant recorder. And then of course we have ultra H.265 compression. It helps reduce your bandwidth and bit rates of your cameras, aiding in storage space and also for streaming as well. It's less bandwidth heavy in streaming across the internet remotely. And of course, our built-in NVRs with a built-in PoE switch in there. Each one of those ports has a feature for long distance PoE, so you can run your Cat5 cable, up to 820 feet versus the 300 feet that you're maybe used to. Then as well as a storage technology, UBS technology that helps store the files, in a manner that reduces the data loss and provides ease of, precise playback as well.
Yeah, and Patrick, one of the things I didn't mention, because I'm not the technical expert, maybe you can address this. These solutions do offer 3 streams instead of 2. So can you just touch on that a little bit? I know that's kind of a little bit down the live viewing wormhole, but I think that's an important thing to point out.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna get to that. So yeah, if you're maybe used to say our witness line, it has a mainstream and a substream. Basically meaning the mainstream is your high resolution. Say it's a 6 megapixel camera, and you want to display that high resolution, and it'll record that mainstream resolution to the hard drive. That way, when you do playback, it's clear and easy to see. The substream is designed for remote viewing, so it's less bandwidth heavy. It's also a lower resolution as well, so it may not look as good, but it's designed that way on purpose for streaming purposes. With the Vigilant line, that actually offers a 3rd stream, so you can think of it as a main, a sub, and then a 3rd. So you want to record that mainstream, that high resolution to your hard drive. Let's say you want your local monitor, maybe you want it to display that 2nd stream. That substream can actually still produce say a 720p resolution. So it's still clear in high definition, but maybe not as strong as the mainstream. And then that 3rd stream, you want to, that'll have a really knocked down resolution and lower bit rates as well. So that 3rd stream on these recorders are designed for remote viewing as well. And these recorders also have the benefit of choosing, you can actually record your mainstream and that 3rd stream if you want. Being that it is a 3rd stream and lower bit rates and resolutions, it really isn't going to take up that much storage space. And if you're, say, you have internet issues, remotely trying to view playback, you won't be streaming that mainstream when you're doing playback. You can actually stream that 3rd stream through playback as well. So just another feature that allows for bandwidth control and streaming purposes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Patrick. I may have jumped the shark by asking that question because I knew you're about to dive into the UI, but it was something that
Right. Yeah, and I can
was worth
definitely
mentioning.
show you in the mobile app where you can make that adjustment.
Yeah, great. Awesome.
And then, of course, as you talked about the different series and lines on this in the Vigilant line, we have a Flex series, which is your value entry level oriented cameras. Still with the great analytics, there is the human body detection in every model in the Flex series, so it's definitely a great analytic to have just in the Flex series. And then your performance series, you may have your more advanced features like WDR. You may have audio and alarm inputs, outputs, SD card capable recording, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just a higher performance line on those models.
Yeah, just a lot more features and bells and whistles on the performance, right? Audio, mics, stuff like that. So.
Correct. So yeah, and as you mentioned, we do have software out there. We have our Alibi Vigilant toolbox. You can use that tool to discover, any recorders or maybe IP cameras on your network. There's other features in there that you can actually do, firmware upgrades if you choose to. There's a storage calculator in there. So there's other, you can do some configurations like image configurations on cameras, all from that tool from your computer. And we also have a CMS client as well. You can add your recorder or cameras to and manage, any kind of devices you have. You have multiple devices, and you can have them all in one central management location, as well as a video player to play the video you download or export. And then the main one we're going to talk about here is the Alibi mobile app, Vigilant mobile app. I'll get into a demo here, but a lot of great features. We're going to show you how to, sign up for your peer-to-peer account. That way you can get those cloud firmware upgrades. You can do some remote configuration through the app as well. And of course, your playback and live view, and we show you how to, look at specific cameras, let's say from multiple recorders at once and things like that. So I think at this point, we may be ready to demo.
Yeah, without a doubt. So I'm going to go on mute, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'll let you jump in, and you can take it away.
All right. So this is my phone here, and I have the Alibi Vigilant mobile app here in the center here. So I'll just go ahead and open this up. So right now I'm not signed in for an account. You see, the mobile app actually does discover devices on my network and wants me to add them, but I'm going to choose later. Up at the top, there's a login option. So you choose that. If you don't have an account, there is a sign up option here. You can click sign up. And from there, you can just type in your email address. Oh, sorry. The stop sharing button is right next to I was typing on the keyboard. Let's just do that. So basically, you put in an email address on here. Doesn't want to type a C for some reason. But anyway, you would just type in that email address and hit verify. It will actually send you a verification code, and then you would type in, finish completion of the setup with that verification code. And then you'll choose your region, like United States, USA. It'll have you, and then from there you'll have an account. But I'll just go ahead and sign in with mine. It actually remembers me here. I'll go ahead and log in. In the upper left-hand corner is the menu button. Those three lines up there. If you tap that gets you here to this menu selection. First thing we want to do is maybe show you how to add devices. As you can see, I already have multiple devices added to my account. But I'll go ahead and walk through the process of adding another one. So if I hit the add button, you see there's different options here. Scanning would allow you to scan that QR code that you'll see either in the local interface or even in the web browser, if you're familiar with the web browser interface. Manual adding, you can actually manually add by typing in the information and then auto search the LAN. So if we want to go through those, I'll just go through auto search. For example, it'll pull up all these recorders and IP cameras that it finds on my network. And it even tells me ones that I've already have added. So I'll just select, say, this one here, click add. Put in the password for this particular recorder. So it did say it's added. So I go back. It shows it down there at the bottom. You see down there. And I can actually tap on that and edit any information that maybe I want to change the name of it. I can do that. Let's see. Should give me the option also as well. Oh, I'm sorry, I think something else. Let me go ahead and delete this one, and then I'll show you how to manually add. So it's removed now. So if I add, let's do the manual adding option. You can just type in, if you know the IP address of your recorder. I'm sorry, that's the name. Oh, I'll just go ahead and leave it there. And we know the username and password. And from there, we can leave the rest as is, and then we just hit save. So this will add it with the local IP address. And you can see by the color of the icon there how it was added. So it's just a local IP address. I would have to actually do port forwarding to be able to get remote access to this recorder. See the ones that are out in blue are actually added through the peer-to-peer method. And then there's that green one. That's actually a shared recorder that is sharing from someone else's account to mine. But one of the nice features here, if I tap on those three dots, I can start live view or edit. There's a bind cloud account. So at that point, if I tap that, it will actually bind, through the peer-to-peer server. See, it showed up down there at the bottom again. So one thing you can see, there's no, from adding to an IP address locally, there's no option for cloud updating, firmware updating. But if it's through the peer-to-peer connection, I actually have a peer-to-peer upgrade option here. And it would indicate with a little red indicator if I had a firmware update available. So I just wanted to show you that there is a way to bind these through the mobile app. You don't necessarily have to go through the option of scanning the QR code. If you can just add it by the IP address. So I'll just go ahead and delete these, and that would be the third option up here. If you just hit scan, and it would actually scan your scan that QR code through your cameras. Open app again.
So Patrick, from just a technical perspective, we had a question is like, how does the P2P get through the router without port forwarding?
So it basically creates a tunnel connection.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go to too specific technical specifics, but basically it tunnels. It makes a connection. It does use ports. It temporarily opens ports, like it chooses random ports, but it creates a tunnel through there all the way to the peer-to-peer server, and it's encrypted that way. It's more secure connection, but there's no user involvement in that. You don't have to log into your router or anything like that. It just basically tunnels through. It makes a secure connection.
Yeah, it's like a temporary hole that it uses to make that connection, but it doesn't leave that open like an open port, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like when you think about like our cloud, our cloud uses an SSL TSL connection. It's similar to that. I don't think it's exactly the same, but it's that temporary hole it creates, makes the connection, then closes it. And then to your point, I think it randomizes where it's going in. So it's not using the same open port, which makes it easy for people to tunnel into networks. And that's why we always encourage people to use P2P, always, because it's so much more secure than port forwarding.
Correct. Yeah. And that's only temporarily open while you're actively viewing. So yeah, once you close it down, that connection's severed, closed.
Exactly. Thanks.
So here, just to go over some more of the features here, like here, this NVR 3204 or 320P4 does have a firmware upgrade available. You see by that red indicator, if I were to tap that, it shows me I have a camera down there that actually has a firmware waiting to be upgraded. So you could actually come in here and initiate that upgrade, and it'll show the progress, right here, if it actually upgrading. You can tap on and see the current version and the latest version. So a great, easy way to do this remotely. You don't have to be on site. Even for cameras connected to the recorder, it actually will upgrade those, versus just the recorder. So great feature.
Yeah, and the most important thing I want to point out here is that this is all done via the app, right? I mean, a lot of times you would think that in order to have cloud updating, you might have to log into the box through your computer, but right here, he is literally doing this on his phone. It alerts him if there's an update available. He clicks a button and it updates via the cloud. It's super, super powerful.
Yep. So from there we can, like if you wanted to start live view from here, you can come down here and hit start live view. This will show you, your live view options. Up on the very top right, there's a camera icon. That's basically where you can tap that to view, basically your camera list and your device list. So right now I'm playing these 5 cameras here. If I wanted to maybe add some other ones from these recorders, I can pick and choose, which recorder I want to view, and you can mix and match. 16 is the max at once, but you start that live view, you can change your grid down here. So that's one way you can quickly access. I know I think a common phone call we get is people set up the the recorder and then the mobile app, and then maybe go in later and they added a camera or two, and then it's not showing up in the mobile app. If you come up here and then tap that camera icon and then drop down your cameras, you may have to enable that new camera that you just added. So also, I'll go back here. Our toolbar icon here, we have a camera icon. So if you want to take a snapshot, maybe you just hit that camera icon and it'll actually take a snapshot. You can tap on the little icon that appears whenever you do that. There's a recording, so you can actually start recording to your phone in live view, and then you'll see it's successful. You can view it if you want. This is our grid, screen layout that you want. And here's the medium, low, medium, high here. This is basically your main stream, your secondary stream, and then your third stream. So if you're, say you have in an area where internet is not that great, maybe you want to view this camera on a low stream. That's a witness camera, so it doesn't have a low. This one, for example, and you can see the actual bit rates down there in the lower left-hand corner of each camera, of it showing how much you're streaming. And then the speaker icon, if the camera supports audio, you can enable that speaker to listen to live audio.
So Patrick, on the streams, so I can choose what stream I'm showing or viewing by camera. Is that right?
Right. So depending on what layout you're in, it'll only let you do one on mainstream, one camera at a time. So it'll be full screen. So if you're in a higher grid layout, you may not have that option to switch to a high. Actually, yeah, that one goes. So you can only do one. If I were to try to select another one and go to high.
Yeah, so one's high and all the other cameras are either going to be medium or low. And depending on how many cameras you want to view at one time, that'll impact the speed in which you're able to view them, right? I mean, low is obviously best because it's the taking up less bandwidth. There's just less data coming over. So if you try to go in and view 16 cameras on medium, hey, you know, that's going to be more taxing than if you're viewing everything on low, right? But
Exactly.
fundamentally, you do have the ability to control that by camera, which is cool.
Right. Yeah. And like I said, that's what the low, and you may be able to get away with the medium, but typically that's the whole purpose of the low, or that third stream is for remote viewing. So you don't tie up any bandwidth and bottleneck your network. You can always, double tap a single camera and view it on high, temporarily, and then go back to a low or medium. So it just helps save bandwidth.
Yep. Got it.
And then this little icon down here in the kind of the lower left lets you control the brightness, you have saturation settings, contrast, some sharpness. So you have some typical kind of camera settings down here. And then at the very bottom, you have an alarm output. If certain recorders or cameras connected to that recorder have an alarm output, you can actually come in here and trigger that manually. Ptz options. Let me get to a camera that I think it has a Ptz. So this is actually a Ptz add. Oh, it's right there. So yeah, if you have the Ptz option, you can actually open this up and then, move that Ptz around through the mobile app. Two-way audio. The camera does have a microphone and supports two-way audio. You can start that there. Favorites. If you want to create a favorite in here, you can. What that does, basically, right here, I have a test favorite. Basically, this is the cameras that you can come in here and select which cameras you want to be part of that favorite. That way, say if you have multiple, recorders, you want to view certain cameras from certain recorders, you can come in here and create a favorite. You can do that though from the live view screen. And the close all just closes the cameras from live view. Playback, if you want to get into playback, just tap that option there. If you want to change your calendar, you can see the dates that had video have these little blue indicators on them. You can come in here and scroll through your time frame, hours, minutes, seconds, to view that. And this triangle button down here, that actually gives the option to filter what you're actually recording. Say you only want, motion or, VCA, like human body detection, for example. Doesn't look like there's any on that one. You can come in here and filter down what actual recordings you have on your timeline to help you kind of, jump to an event that, happened around a certain time instead of, scrolling through endless continuous recorded video. So that's a great feature there.
And as you've spent time with the app and also the web application, do you have a preferred method for downloading video, or you find that both work seamlessly and just as well?
Either way, it's your preference. For the mobile app, you can just start recording here, just like you would in live view, or take a snapshot. So, of course, the web application is, you can download and make clips and things like that. So it's kind of up to the user how they prefer. And once you have a video, so I can say, go here to my pictures and video that I recorded. You can play it back here. If you want to share, there's a little sharing icon down there in the lower left. You tap that, that'll bring up any kind of options. You can share it through a text message, through email, through Skype, or, however you want to share it to, Google OneDrive. So there's different options for sharing. You can save it to your phone somewhere, or you can just delete it. So those are your options here. There's different.
Well, and more importantly, I think when you showed on the timeline, I mean, identifying where there are events, motion events, human detection events, it's all really nice and obvious and prominent on that timeline. There you go. Right. Yeah.
And we can fast forward up to 4 times. Down here at the bottom, you can go up to 4x, or even if you want to slow it down to 1/4 of a frame per second, you have that option as well. So we talked about our pictures and audio, and there's some just a filter options if you want to filter just by picture or by video or by time. Favorites, we kind of went over that. Alarm notifications. This is where you can actually get your push notifications. To enable these, at the bottom, there's an allow notification option. From there, you can just enable which recorder you want. If you want to get more advanced, there's an advanced settings at the bottom. So let's say this is in our 320p-4 is the one we're working with here. Let's say I only want alerts for this one camera here. You can do that, or you can select which ones specifically. Maybe you only want them from a certain time frame and certain times during the day of the week. You can also filter by type. Maybe you only want to get, say, VCA, like human detection alerts. You can come in here and do that. And when you set that up and then go back out to your notifications, so it just kind of updated here with any new notifications that I had received. So you see it says human body detection for this one. There's the two icons on the lower right for each notification. There's a playback and then there's a live view. So if you want to just jump the playback of that event, that may be a fresh one. Let's check when it's older. So sometimes if you get the alert right away, it won't play back right away because it's still processing and writing to the hard drive. So it may kind of spin. So if you wait for a second, it'll actually populate. So basically you can just tap on that playback icon. The live view, the other option that just jumps to live view, if you want to jump there real quick from that alert. And you can see by the red, the red notification here on alarm notifications, it tells you that you do have active notifications to view. So you can come in here and select them. You can even filter these. If you say you hadn't set a filter for which notifications you have received, you can come in here and actually filter them, a different way. If you have all kinds of notifications, the same way you filtered from the beginning. If you want to mark all of them as red, so I have 26 of them in the top right, there's a way you can select all of them. You can hit check marks to select them all. You can share from here if you want to share that notification. You can mark them as red, that way it knows that I read them. Then there's a delete option if you wanted to actually delete them. So they'll show up there if they're active and new. They'll show up with that red icon. And you'll see at the top, you see I have all these alerts in my banner, the ones that kind of came through as well. So local configurations, basically kind of settings for your own personal phone. If you want to set a password, you can set a password. So say if somebody comes along and opens up your app, they can't just open it up without a password. There's PTZ settings, snapshots, auto discovery, new devices. So you kind of maybe saw that when I first opened the app, it discovered a new device on the network. It'll prompt you if you want to add that device to the app. Also,
right. It goes out there and sees something new, and it prompts you, doesn't it? It asks you,
right.
Hey, I see a new recorder, or I see a new camera. Do you want to add that?
Exactly. Yeah. As well as a auto detect device upgrade. So that's basically your firmware, cloud firmware upgrading. I would recommend definitely have that enabled. That way you can get your prompts notifications when you have a firmware upgrade available.
Hey, Patrick, as we're talking about setup and config, some of the questions that have come in, I'd love to get addressed while we're kind of in this mode. So as our dealers are out there thinking about all their different clients, right? They've got customers who are, they got 20 customers in Austin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have the ability to create a master account that would be able to kind of view all their different customers' recorders, and then their customers would only be able to have access to their one, but they would be able to kind of manage everything through one account? Or is that's done on a per customer basis with that specific login information?
So it kind of depends on the dealer and how they do things. Some dealers maybe like to manage their users, and so for instance here I have all these recorders added to my own account. Now they all belong to me, not necessarily another user. But you can give out, if you want to give out the credentials to your peer-to-peer account. I don't know if that would be recommended or not, but
probably not.
Yeah. Otherwise, some dealers, maybe want their users to have their own account, and then their recorders attached to their account, not the dealers. So it's up to the dealer how they choose to manage it. I can show you in the web application one way to make it easier if you are one that want to manage multiple recorders, say from multiple customers, different locations, or things like that. But basically, if you create an account and add a recorder to that account, it's tied to that account and it cannot be added to another account. So they are the primary admin user. So it's up to the dealer really how they want to approach that.
Right. So another thing that I think a lot of our dealer partners who are on today, they're used to the witness line, and they're kind of comparing and contrasting against Vigilant. So how is sharing on the Vigilant line? If I set up, I'm a business owner and I want to share live view with one of my employees, how easy or simple is that to do?
So we can do that here from the mobile app, as well as the web interface. So let's say the 3 dots there next to a recorder. If I tap on that,
yep,
the share icon, share option down there. If I tap that, I can actually, so if I want to choose the recorder itself and all the cameras, you can tap on that recorder. This will bring up, if you know the user or the peer-to-peer account you want to share with, you would type that in there. There's a time frame. So if you want to say only want to share for maybe a week, you can actually choose it only a week. Or if you want to choose just forever, there's no option for forever, but you can just choose a really high date like 2080 or something. You can actually get real specific on how long you're sharing that device. You can share it by function. They're always going to have live view option available, but you can give them PTZ control or two-way audio playback. You can choose whether or not you want to have that function or not, or you can just go by role and choose as admin, basically kind of all the permissions.
Yeah, that's great. So it's super easy to find on a by device basis, and then there's a real granular level of controls that you can give to other people that you're giving access to that specific device. So that's awesome.
And if you only want to share, say, one camera from that recorder, you can just tap on that camera. Now you only have the option to share by function with this option. So you can do specific cameras that way.
But I think the key here is they have to have a P2P account to be able to share that.
Correct. Yeah, you have to have a peer-to-peer account to share with. But from here, if I tap on my profile name at the very top, I can go to my sharing, and you can see I am actually sharing a camera with one of our salesmen, Dan. So you can actually view what you're actually sharing through the mobile app as well. And if you wanted to edit any of your information, email, username, change your password, or even just cancel your account altogether, you can do that from this profile menu. And then down here, remote configuration. If you wanted to, do any kind of remote configurations, either for the recorder itself or a camera, you can come in here and tap on a camera. Let's see. You can change the device name of it. You can set up its recording schedule or times even. Motion detection. If you want to, set up your area to draw your grid, you can come in here and edit. So you can come in here and kind of edit your motion grid however you want it. So you can actually do this configuration through the mobile app. Not necessarily, you don't have to log into a web browser to do it. Sensitivity, snapshots, things like that. So very nice to have that functionality built into the app. Then we have a help section here. Basically, this lets you know, say, if you want to know what icon descriptions, these things mean. It's like we went over the colors of the icons in your device list, things like that. You can come in here into this help section. Cloud account, if you need help setting up your cloud account, it'll walk you through the steps and process of logging in and even sharing. Any sort of live view settings. So it's kind of built in kind of a manual, built into the app itself. So if you have any questions, maybe you don't have to call tech support. You can just come in here and find the answer yourself. So that's kind of it with the mobile app. I want to get into the web browser interface now.
Yeah, and hey, real quick, Patrick. So in setting up the P2P account, like when you first log into the app, does it prompt you to do that right off the bat?
No. You'll have to, you'll see that main sign up page. So you can choose sign up to create a page. If you were to just add a recorder to the device without signing up, one, it wouldn't let you do it through peer-to-peer. It makes you have to create an account. But you can add local devices, say like your local IP address, or if you're stuck on port forwarding and you want to add it that way through the remote IP address or a Ddns address, you can do it that way. It won't be tied to any accounts or anything like that. So it's maybe if you're more familiar with that method, you certainly can. But I always recommend the peer-to-peer option. And so you would need to create an account to do that.
Gotcha, thanks.
So here is the web interface for our peer-to-peer server. It's the Star4 Live. So if you already have a login, you can come in and log in here. If you don't, there's a sign up option. So you can actually do this through the web browser. Create a username, create a password, and then you would just type in your email address and hit acquire basically, and it'll send you your email, a verification code, similar to how the mobile app would do it. And you just type it in and then sign up. So since I already have an account, I'm just going to log in here. And you'll see all the recorders that you saw on my phone app. They should all populate in here. So you see the recorders I have listed here. You see the one that is sharing with me here, and then even that camera that I'm sharing with Dan, as we saw earlier. One thing here on the left, you can actually create an organizational list and actually add recorders to that list. As you see here in this column, I've added certain recorders. So say, since I've been working from home a lot during this COVID era, I have devices, recorders that I have at home. I can click on that and it'll actually just narrow down and show me, what devices do I have at my house? I have these two recorders at home. The recorders at the office or cameras even. I can click on that. So basically I can filter, where these devices are located. So if you are one of these dealers that say want to manage, your users and all their recorders, you can come in here and kind of create a list. So I typed this in, I don't have anything added to them, but I just created this as an example. So like say you have a retail chain, you have a store here with an MVR, store here that has 2 MVRs. You can kind of use this as an example. If you want to add a list, you just come in here and click add organizational list. You can choose where in the tree you want this to be under. If you just want to enter that root account, you can come in here and create your own list here. So, and then you can start adding recorders to that site, so to speak. Other nice features in here, you have the ability to recover or retrieve your password. And again, this is all done remotely. Just to update here. So it gives us all our information, what our recorder is, even the IP address at the site, whether it's online or offline, if you want to share. And then right here, if we want to actually retrieve a password, we can come in here. It'll send an email with a code to the email address on file on your account. And once you come that in, you can actually recover the password to that recorder. So no more calling tech support. You can do all this by yourself, or the end user can if they're the admin user for that device. So I think this is a great feature to be able to reset passwords, because I know it's one of our most common tech support calls. Another great feature here. So since these are all added peer-to-peer, I can actually click this access button. None of these devices have been port forwarded. This is all through a peer-to-peer connection. And basically I can access my recorder through the web browser without port forwarding. This is something you currently cannot do on the witness line. So this is a great benefit on the Vigilant line. And another benefit to peer-to-peer. So you can come in here and do any of your setup or anything you need to configure your recorder that way remotely. So definitely a plus. Even shared devices, you can come in here and access a shared device that maybe not even belong to you. as long as you're the admin, of course. I think that may be all I have, Chris, unless there's any questions out there.
Yeah, so I'll run through some questions. So first and foremost, thanks, Patrick. I think, again, I'm the marketing guy, right? So I'm not super technically savvy when it comes to all this, but as we've spent time talking about the Vigilant line, and you go through setup and management, it just seems like everything's super intuitive, everything's super easy to find, especially on the mobile app. I think about how our dealer partners are out in the field, may not want to fire up their laptop, obviously don't have a desktop with them, but being able to go onto a customer site and do everything, attach cameras, find cameras, update motion alerts and settings easily on the mobile app is super powerful and user friendly. And as you mentioned, there are just some inherent things that the Alibi Vigilant line does that Witness doesn't. When you think about maintenance and making sure customer solutions are up to date, the cloud firmware updating is one of those things I know that before we even brought on this line, we were super excited about. And I think the feedback from our dealer partners has been great on how well that works. And then to your point, being able to do more via the P2P connection than we can actually do on the Witness line. And I think that's an important point to make, is that the features and functionality and also the quality of the video that we're getting from this line is comparable, if not better, on the Witness line. So, when our dealer partners look at the line and they go, man, the pricing is really competitive on this line, it must be a cheaper product. Well, that's not the case. We are selling professional grade, high quality gear here. And this line is really meant to be a super versatile line that provides great value to you as our dealer partners. And really, it's meant to help you guys either make more margin or to compete more effectively in the marketplace to win more jobs. That's why we brought in this line. And then you throw in the ability to have an NDAA compliant line, so you don't have to worry about customer concerns about those banned manufacturers on the list. And all that really rolls into a really powerful, high-end, easy-to-use solution. So, again, that's my marketing pitch for the Vigilant line, so to speak. So when we talk about the Vigilant line and we talk about home automation integration, do we have any plans for integrating with some of the platforms out there like Control4? And also just so touch on that home automation integration, and also any kind of POS integration that we may or may not have on the system now and in the future.
No, I don't believe it's been discussed as far as home automation integration. So we can look into that, but it currently is not on the roadmap.
Okay, yeah. Typically, and again, I'll just add a little color here. Typically, the more we hear that, the more we work with our manufacturing partners to make something like that happen, right? So if we have a large swath of our dealer partners asking for home automation integration with a specific platform or multiple platforms, that's when we start investigating it, because that's when we understand that there's a need that we can help shape in the marketplace.
All right.
Let's see here. Does the Ultra H265 compression still carry the 4K definition?
Yes, it really has no effect on the resolution setting. It just compresses the video once once it stores it in the hard drive or you're streaming, and then it kind of will, you'll still view that whatever resolution it's set at. That's what you'll be viewing for that mainstream settings, or any stream really. So yeah, it really didn't have any effect on the resolution.
Gotcha. What about plans to add NAS capability to archive storage?
So it is a feature in some recorders. I believe it's going to be in their higher channel counts. So our 32 channel with the 8 SATA drives, as well as 64 and our 128 channels. So I believe those are the only 3 models that are supporting it. We can look into to other options for lower channel counts. Typically, it's because of their higher channel counts. That's why you would maybe need extra storage.
Exactly.
So that's where
Exactly.
you'll find them in these lines.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Are there any multi-tenant management and monitoring options? I'm assuming that means like for large multifamily housing complexes or anything like that.
Yes, I mean, suppose we have our CMS client software
Yeah.
that you could use, I suppose, if you have multiple recorders, or if you maybe you have a different people, maybe in a HOA or something that they may want to view. Yeah, you can create a user
Mm-hmm.
on the recorder and set up the recorders, add them to the CMS. The CMS also does work with the peer-to-peer account, so you can sign in with a peer-to-peer account and view any recorders associated with that account. So that would probably be that comes to mind first when I think of that question is our CMS client.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which when we talk about webinars for Vigilant, and as we kind of line out the subsequent sessions, we will talk about whether we do one on the CMS specifically as well. This is just kind of scratching the scratch of the surface on how easy this solution is to set up and manage. And as we get more in depth with Player and the CMS, we will probably roll out more sessions so we can kind of deep dive into those as well.
All right. I did notice one question on here asking about the built-in DDNS. We don't. We're trying not to offer a DDNS on this series. We're really pushing the peer-to-peer option. That way you can avoid port forwarding. I know one of the fallbacks on the witness line was reason people still want to do port forwarding is the view through the web browser. With this line and through the Star4 Live website, as I demonstrated, you can actually access the recorders remotely through the web browser without port forwarding. So if that's one of the reasons why maybe you're still hung up on port forwarding, this is a reason to get away from it. Now we still have options for no IP and what's the other DDNS. But you could register. You can definitely feel free to register your own DDNS if you choose. I'm pretty sure no IP offers you up to 3, I believe it's free DDNS accounts. You would just have to verify a monthly email each month, but it is free through no IP. We're just really trying to push the peer-to-peer service because of all the benefits of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes everything a lot easier. And the interface, the recorder interface between the NVRs and DVRs, how similar or how different is it?
It's going to be slightly different with the hybrid recorders. Pretty much the same functionality and features. They just may be located in a different section, a different area. And the color scheme might be slightly different, but basically it's almost the same, but not. If you know what section, say your camera settings are in, you'll know where it is on both. So it might be slightly different looking, but same functionality really.
Gotcha. And then if you're an admin on a shared device, can you remote upgrade the firmware on that device?
Yeah, I saw that too. I was going to answer that. Actually, no, you cannot. Even if you share as an admin, you still don't have the ability to do the firmware upgrade. So it's still firmly controlled by the primary admin user who shared that device. So only the pure admin can do that firmware upgrading. It doesn't even appear as an option as a shared device on another person's phone or mobile app.
Gotcha. Let's see here. We got a few questions. I'm going to direct those to account managers because I think that's probably more of a hands-on demo. So I think Sean, we'll have John Voss get back to you specifically with some answers to your questions. And then the multi-tenant question specifically was about they're a managed service provider, so they're looking to manage multiple clients in a single dashboard. So that's what that was about. I don't know if you have any insight into that.
Yeah, the CMS would be a great use case for that. You can add multiple devices into that one client and view, and you can create custom views of recorders from different DVRs if you choose. And CMS would be a great fit for that.
And then Kevin asked if we're going to continue to support analog DVRs. I mean, for now, yes. I mean, we've got hybrid recorders on both sides, the witness and the vigilant side, which really gives you guys the flexibility for all those analog cameras that are out there to go and install bigger channel count boxes that will support analog, as well as allow your customers to upgrade to IP in many cases. I don't know if you have anything else to add along those lines.
No, yeah, they're not going anywhere. I think we see as an industry as a whole, there may be a slight migration towards IP, but as far as analog, it's going to remain an option because of the users that use it.
Yeah, there's a lot of analog infrastructure out there, so there's going to be a need for a long period of time before we actually phase out the support of DVRs.
Yeah.
And then one final question, and we'll wrap up here. So for a non-IP DVR, like a true analog DVR, does P2P work off the DVR if you don't use port forwarding?
So yeah, if it's a vigilant recorder, yeah, it will have peer-to-peer. I'm not sure if I completely understood that question, but yeah, as long as that DVR or NVR, whatever it may be, on the vigilant line is connected to an internet like source, like a router, and you have internet, peer-to-peer will work.
All right. Well, I think there are a few other questions. I think we've got one guy who's on site right now. Hey, Greg, if you still need help getting that vigilant set up, I recommend you talk to tech support. Like I said, we are really working hard on 90-second hold time. So if you're on site and you need help right now, buddy, give our tech support team a call and they'll help you get up and running. And Shauna, I think you're having some challenges with the app. I'd recommend you do the same thing. Those guys will help you get that download and taken care of as well. So we appreciate everybody joining us today. If there's, I'll be working with the sales team. If there are any questions that we just didn't answer that are super important, we'll make sure your dedicated account manager gets back to you. You know, for me, watching Patrick walk through the mobile app, watching him walk through the web application, you know, I'm the dumb marketing guy. I always say that in the company, right? I find this super intuitive, easy to set up, and easy to use as well. And hopefully you guys do as well. And if you have any questions or need more information about Alibi Vigilant, please reach out to your account manager. They're here to help you understand. They're here to help you get all your questions answered as you guys are out there trying to win more jobs, right? Our main goal here at Alibi Security is help our dealer partners grow their business. And we really think that this Vigilant line fits a nice feature-rich price point in the marketplace. And we really encourage you, if you haven't purchased a 4-channel system to play around with, you're missing out. This line's feature rich. The optics are unbelievable. The starlight, low light capabilities are great. As we continue to expand this line, I think we're seeing more and more features being built in, even to the HD line, right? Audio over coax has become a bigger thing. So as we continue to grow and invest in this line, I think you're going to see more and more features just present in a line that's super affordable and affords you guys a lot more margin and opportunity to win more jobs. So you always go out to our YouTube channel, subscribe. We're always posting new content, new information out there. We'll be packaging up this webinar. We'll be reposting that on that YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. That way you are alerted when we post new videos to the channel and you're always up to speed. Look for new webinars coming out. Make sure you're reading your emails. That's why we send out emails. We're letting you guys know when we've got upcoming webinars that could really be informative and impactful for your business. So we appreciate you guys joining us today, and we will see you next time on the Alibi Security webinar. Thanks so much.